Okay, so navigating life, right? All the challenges, finding some kind of direction, building a life that actually, feels meaningful. How do you even start?
It's a huge question, and I think everyone feels that way sometimes. A bit lost, maybe overwhelmed.
Totally. And just knowing stuff isn't enough, is it? You need, actionable things.
Exactly. Finding the insights you can actually do something with. That's the tricky part.
Right. And that is precisely what we're trying to do in this deep dive.
Oh.
We've got this really fascinating source. It's a transcript from a Jordan Peterson YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's just packed with ideas. Self-improvement, truth lie, or radical truth responsibility, and why language, why being competent is so fundamental.
So our job here is to kind of pull that apart, distill it down.
Exactly. What are the core ideas he's laying out? What are the maybe surprising bits that could genuinely help you, the listener, make some progress? Even small steps.
Got it. Like a shortcut through the noise to find the useful stuff.
Precisely. We want to unpack the best nuggets, maybe spark an aha moment for your own path. Sound good?
Let's dive in.
All right. So where does this material suggest you even begin? It starts somewhere kind of, simple but hard. Facing yourself.
Right now, as you are.
Yeah, and asking some pretty uncomfortable questions like, there's this really blunt one. What stupid thing am I doing that I could quit doing?
Oof. That's direct. But the point is, if you actually ask that, chances are you're not alone.
Right. Other people are probably doing similar stupid things.
And the moment you identify it, you've already stopped being stupid in that one specific way, haven't you? Because you see it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that leads to this really powerful exercise he outlines. You imagine sitting alone, maybe feeling a bit desperate, like, my life isn't right.
Yeah.
And you ask yourself this very specific question. What's one thing I'm doing wrong?
That I know I'm doing wrong.
That I could fix.
That I would fix. Emphasis on the would.
Exactly. And the source warns the answer might be, unwelcome.
Probably something you've been, sweeping under the rug. Don't want to look at.
Yeah. But it's framed as the necessary truth you got to confront if you actually want things to get better.
Okay, so face the unpleasant truth. What's the payoff?
The source says focusing on micro improvements based on that truth, not huge, scary changes, just small fixes for things you know are wrong, leads to improving unbelievably rapidly.
So it's about consistency with the small stuff you already know.
Seems like it. Fixing those known errors, one by one.
Which brings us right to the next big theme, truth, honesty. It's like the absolute foundation here.
Yeah, not just admitting a flaw, but adopting this stance of being brutally truthful.
Brutally truthful with yourself and with others, consistently.
And the source calls saying what you believe to be true an adventure.
An adventure. Why that word?
Well, because you genuinely don't know what's going to happen, right? Where the truth will lead. Yeah. You give up control of the outcome.
Okay, I saw. And the flip side, what happens if you don't speak the truth?
This is interesting. It says when you choose your words just to get a specific result.
Yeah.
Like a student writing what the professor wants, not what they think.
Yeah.
It argues it's not you talking.
Not you.
Then who is? It calls it a spirit of manipulation. Not like a ghost, but like your own internal motive.
Yeah.
Trying to control things, maybe avoid conflict, using words as tools for that purpose.
So you become a kind of puppet to that desire for certain outcome.
Exactly. And the source says living like that, constructing this false you, means you don't actually have your own life.
Wow.
You're living the life dictated by that manipulation or fear. And that, it argues, is a straight pathway to bitterness.
Bitterness. Because you look back and realize it wasn't real, even if you succeeded on the surface.
Yeah. God, that was a miserable life, because it wasn't authentically yours.
So that's where faith in the truth comes in.
Precisely. It's this belief, almost an act of faith, that whatever the truth produces, even if it's harsh, painful,
is ultimately the best possible outcome. Not easiest, maybe, but the most real, the most robust.
That seems to be the idea. And the path that makes you the most capable you can be.
Okay, so face yourself, commit to truth. Foundational. But then you need, competence, right? Tools.
Exactly. And this is where the deep dive really emphasizes learning from others, especially through reading.
Reading as a shortcut.
Yeah, you don't have to learn everything the hard way through the school of hard knocks. Books contain, distilled experience.
Right. Like the example of Colonel Hackworth's book about face. Just reading a bit could give you insights that save you massive amounts of trouble.
It makes this really strong claim. Seeing something just once in a book can make you infinitely better.
Infinitely. How so?
It's compared to, like, solving a riddle or a mind bender. Once you see the solution, the pattern, you can't unsee it. You navigate differently.
So reading gives you those patterns, those solutions, without the pain of figuring them out yourself.
That's the idea. And there's this cool metaphor of trying on other people through reading.
Trying them on.
You know, like accessing their entire life's work, their way of thinking, boiled down in their writing. The example was a neurobiology book. Reading it gives you, say, 30 years of the author's intense effort in maybe 6 months. You leverage their struggle for your gain.
That's efficient. And it mentions reading minds more powerful than your own.
Yeah, it says it's very disruptive but unbelievably useful because it forces you to question your own assumptions, your own framework. It makes you grow, even if it's uncomfortable.
Well, which leads right into what you said was maybe the most stressed point.
Oh, absolutely. The critical importance of words, articulation, verbal competence.
Okay, unpack that. Why so critical?
Think about trying to read Shakespeare, the source suggests. It's hard work, right? The language feels old, dense.
Definitely not easy reading.
You have to actively pull it apart, figure out what words really mean, their history, their etymology. It calls a word an ancient artifact, living in a word ecosystem.
A word ecosystem.
Yeah.
I like that. But why does that deep dive matter practically?
Because, the argument goes, you think in words. Learning to write is learning to think.
So clarifying your writing clarifies your thoughts.
Exactly. It formalizes the chaos in your head. It helps you organize arguments, sharpen your mental tools. Put yourself straight is the phrase used.
Putting yourself straight. And this connects to practical skills.
Hugely. Like analyzing a complex document of the rules of engagement example. You need to understand the weight of each specific word, its definition, its history, how it changes the meaning.
And then articulate that clearly to others.
Right. And it presents this stark choice. Be competent and dangerous, or vague and useless.
Dangerous.
Not physically dangerous necessarily, but formidable, verbally competent, able to win arguments, strategize, negotiate, persuade, articulate a vision. That's being deadly in the best sense.
So honing your words makes you unstoppable. That's a strong claim.
It is. And it emphasizes the compound interest, like learning this young. The benefits just stack up over your whole life. It's maybe the most powerful tool you can have.
Okay, so you've got self-awareness, truth, learning, articulation. What provides the actual drive, the motivation?
Goals. Struggle. Meaning that's the next big piece.
The source uses this metaphor, right?
Yeah.
We're built to walk uphill.
Yeah, exactly. We need a horizon of ever-expanding possibility. We aren't meant for just sitting around.
It contrasts that with the matitai on the beach idea.
Right, which it says just leads to being depressed and aimless. Passive contentment isn't the goal. The image is the active warrior moving uphill.
So the value isn't just reaching the destination, the peak.
No, it's in the climb. Most positive emotion like enthusiasm, engagement, that happens when you're actively moving towards a goal you care about.
Okay, so moving towards is key, and then there's the idea of a transcendent goal.
Yeah, one you can never finally reach. It always recedes a bit.
Sounds potentially frustrating, like Sisyphus pushing the rock.
The source says, no, it's not like that. Because while you're pursuing that high goal, you put yourself together. You develop skills. Your life gets better along the way. It allows for constant, meaningful striving.
And this ties into responsibility.
Directly. You need an aim. Something worth doing, like taking care of yourself so you're not a burden, looking after your family, contributing to your community. These provide the why for the struggle.
Without that aspiration, that hierarchy of values, life just doesn't have meaning.
That's the strong statement, yeah. Meaning requires aiming at something worthwhile.
Okay, so to pursue these uphill goals effectively, you need structure.
Absolutely. Structure, discipline, order. That's the next crucial element.
Then the source flips the script on freedom, doesn't it? It says true freedom isn't lack of constraint.
Right. It's purchased at the price of discipline. The concert pianist example is amazing freedom, but only after thousands of hours of discipline.
So discipline isn't just restriction, it's the enabler of higher level freedom and skill. It's imposing necessary order.
Yes, order to counter chaos, hopelessness, nihilism. And where do you start imposing order?
Start small. Fix what's obviously broken right in front of you.
That's the advice. Fix 100 small things. Your life looks very different.
And it really highlights daily routines, right? The stuff that seems boring.
Hugely important.
Yeah.
Because you repeat them every day. They probably make up, 50% 50% of your waking life?
So if you want to improve, that's the place with the most leverage. Those seemingly small daily actions.
Hands down. Optimize those routines through discipline.
Okay, beyond structure, how do you find your specific path, your unique direction?
It suggests looking at what bugs you, what grips you.
So your frustrations, annoyances, those aren't just things to ignore.
No, they're signals, potential indicators of where your energy should go. They're your things to solve.
And tackling those requires humility.
Yeah, admitting I don't know enough, approaching it like a genuine mystery I would like to delve into, not like you already have the answers.
And being willing to admit your current way of seeing things, your frame of reference, is halty.
Exactly. Discovering where you're wrong isn't failure. It's incredibly useful. It opens the door to creative thinking.
Errors show you where your map of the world is incomplete.
Right. And figuring out why it was incomplete helps you build a better map, a more complete identity. Those aha moments.
But facing the really big problems, the ones that grip you, that's scary.
Terrifying. The source uses myths, the Hydra, the Gorgon, the Basilisk, to represent problems that feel monstrous, paralyzing.
Like the Hydra grows more heads.
Yeah, solve one part, two more appear.
And then the Gorgon turns you to stone,
Yeah.
freezes you.
Exactly. Taking responsibility for those feels like a hell of a load,
That's an upside.
a massive one. There isn't anything better to have than a problem that's worth solving.
A worthwhile problem gives you a reason to get up in the morning.
Precisely. It provides that compelling reason, that purpose. It's the antidote to bitterness, the source suggests.
So it all seems to circle back to a fundamental choice.
It does. The choice between a meaningless life and a meaningful one.
Meaningless being. Impulsive pleasure, no responsibility. Like Peter Pan in Neverland, never growing up.
Yeah, or Pleasure Island in Pinocchio, stuck, avoiding reality.
Versus a meaningful life where what you do matters. Which sounds good, but also heavy.
It is heavy. It means accepting consequences, knowing your screw-ups can actually harm people, harm the world, and taking responsibility for that anyway.
And the source mentioned personas, like on social media.
Right, building an actor or a Pinocchio to hide inadequacy. Having some kind of persona might be necessary socially, but it's no substitute for the real thing.
The self built on truth and competence. If you're just acting, who wrote the script? It's not your adventure.
Exactly. The real adventure of your life, it suggests, only comes when you dare to be truthful, even about your own flaws.
Embracing that struggle, confronting your own limits and mistakes, that's where the meaning is.
Yeah, without that truthful confrontation, you're just playing a role, and that will take all the meaning out of your life.
Wow. Okay, so tying this all together for you, the listener, where does this leave us?
It means the journey starts small. Honesty about yourself. Recognizing the power of words, not just to talk, but to think.
Right. And internalizing that the value is in the climb, the striving towards something meaningful, not just arriving somewhere static.
Yeah, and seeing discipline not as jail, but as the key to real freedom and skill, starting with those daily habits.
And engaging with what bothers you, what grips you. Seeing those problems as guides, not just burdens, the antidote to bitterness.
It boils down to choosing meaning over meaninglessness, accepting the weight of responsibility, and finding the adventure in confronting reality truthfully.
It really reinforces that building a good life isn't about finding something out there, but about this deliberate, sometimes uncomfortable internal work.
Well said. And maybe a final thought to leave you with, something from the source that ties together embracing the specific struggles. Maybe the same thing's true of life as fixing your room. You bind yourself to it, and the tighter you bind yourself to it, the more you find out what it is. And that's like a radical embrace.
A radical embrace. So what would it mean for you to radically embrace your life? The challenges, the details, the difficult truths, instead of trying to escape. Something to think about.